Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is episode 17 of yet another inventory system, but wait. And in this episode we are going to start looking at inventory sorting so that we can sort our inventory by category: food, drink, medical, and so on and so forth. This may be in two parts. We'll see how we get on, or I may make one long video. Let's see how it goes. So without further ado, let's get going. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go to our blueprints folder, our game folder, our UI folder, and we're going to make a new user interface. A widget blueprint, user class, and we're going to call this WDT underscore toggle button. So we're going to be able to toggle these buttons. So in other words, it will show some way that, yes, this is what we had, the category we got selected, and deselect all the others when we press the button. So we're going to open this up. There we go. And let me just quickly grab my reference. And in here, we're going to start off. First of all, let's click it on desired or desired on screen, either way. We're going to start with a border. See, it's very small at the moment, but don't worry, we will soon deal with that. And this border is drawn as, so we go to the right hand side here, we've got draw as none. And tint, I've just set to 0 as well. Okay. And padding, we're going to set to 5. Okay. And to that we are going to add a size box. And the size box also has a padding of 5, which is already preset at. And we're going to have a width and a height override. The width override is going to be 80. And the height, it's an odd number I know, but it seemed to work well for me, is 105. We end up with a rectangular box like this. Okay, the next thing I'm going to add is another border. I'm going to add that to the size box. We're going to make sure this is a variable. We're going to call this election border. And we've got a few settings on here. So first of all, let's go down, make sure we have it selected. Our padding is 0. Our content padding is going to be 5. We have 2 lots of padding inside this border. We're going to draw as a rounded box. Don't worry about the shapes at the moment. The tint is going to be 0. Okay, scroll down to our outline and our corner radius. So we're going to set those at 10. We're going to set the outline color to white. Make sure it's 1 on the alpha. And we're going to set the width to 2. Make sure we then change the rounding type to fixed radius. So we've now got a nice white border. The reason I'm making this white is because you will have the ability to use this button in different UIs throughout your game, and we can change the color accordingly depending on what your UI color scheme is. Okay, next thing we're going to add is a vertical box. Put that onto the border. And make sure it's got no strange settings. It should inherit the 5 padding. And there's nothing strange about that. Notice it's just inside of our border, which is good. Then we're going to add a button to our vertical box. The button is going to be set, so we select it to fill, and we've got that up and down. And now in our style, we're going to draw as none. Make sure on hovered is also drawn as none. Going to get some weird effects. Pressed is also drawn as none. We don't really want our box showing up at all. And disabled should already be drawn as none. We'll draw it as none. And I just want to check on our padding. Just look at my reference. Give me 1 second. I can't remember what I set the padding for the button. Padding. Come on. Ah, yes. So just under here, padding, and normal padding we're going to set to 0. But our press padding we're going to leave as default. Now we're going to add an overlay to our button. You see it's tiny in the middle because it's set to be central. Give it a padding 5. We're going to set it to fill. So we have our padding in here. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to add an image to our overlay. We're going to make sure the image is, not the overlay, make sure the image is variable, and we're going to call it, let's see, icon img. And we're going to set this to be center and center. We're going to set our brush just for the sake of, so we've got something to look by, and I'll go into the artwork in a minute. What I did for the artwork, I found some different icons, one for all, the health we already had, the drink we already had, the burger we already had, the box for placeable, like a letter for recipes, and like that, like resources, but use whatever you feel. Just for, so we've got something on the screen now. I'm going to use the all one. You see it's all a bit stretched. Don't worry about that. Image size, we're going to make sure we set that to 80 by 75. You see it's slightly shrunk it, but we're still a bit stretched. And the next thing we're going to add is to our vertical box, we're going to add a text, just a normal text box. Make sure we add this to our vertical box. It's a bit big at the moment. We're going to set the font on our text. One that we've been using, our Cumbria. Font size, we're going to go down to 12. Now you see we've all evened out in our size. And for the text block here, I'm just going to type in all. and we're going to make sure our text is centered, and we're going to give it a little bit of padding on the bottom, only 5, just to keep off the bottom. And you see our image looks square, our text is quite nice, and we need to make sure our text is a variable, and we're going to call it title text. Make sure you compile. And now we're going to go to our graph. Now in our graph, we have one function. So we're going to go ahead and make that first. And we're going to call this function set tint. So basically this is what we're going to use to set the color for our border and our icon. Now again, if you want to use brightly colored icons instead of changing the color on selection like we're doing here, you just need to leave the icon part out of this function. So first of all, we've got our selection border, so we're going to drag that in, drag off of it, and we're going to get the brush. Now I don't want to make the brush, I want to get selection border. Let me get the brush. Okay. Silly me, I made a mistake. Okay, I named the size. This is a size box. Doesn't need to be a variable. And this border should be called selection border. But I didn't have a brush because the size box doesn't have a brush. Compile it. Try it again. Get rid of this. Okay, so let's drag in our selection border again. Drag out and get the brush. Here we go. When you do the right thing, it works. Okay, first of all, we're going to promote this to a local variable. We're going to call it LBrush, because that's what it is. We're going to connect that to setTint. We're going to be making a lot of variables. It's all going to seem a little bit long-winded, but unfortunately a lot of the settings that we need to change are sort of nested with inside other settings, so we've got to actually extract them first before we can do anything with them. So from here, we're going to break it, called a slate brush. We're going to look for our outline settings because we want to change our border outline. And we're going to promote that to a local variable as well. So we're going to call it L outline settings. Basically, we've got to deconstruct our brush, change what we want to do, and then reconstruct it. Okay, and we're going to put a branch. For the condition, we're going to drag off of here and we're going to promote to a variable, and we're going to call this selected ? Okay, and we are going to make sure that this is also instant editable. And did I put these? Yes, I did. There's going to be quite a few. So also what we'll do is put it in a category so we can find it all together. I'm going to call it button settings. So selected. So basically, if we're selected, we want it to be one color. If it's not selected, we want it to be another color. So we are going to make two more local variables. Just check with the type, I believe it. So we're going to make one to start with. So we're going to make a local variable. So we go to here, add a local variable. And we're going to call this L color. And that's going to be of type select color. Excuse me. Okay, we're going to drag that in. We're going to put it on the false. We're also going to put it on the true. So here is where we change that color. We're going to drag off of here, promote this to a normal variable. We're going to call this selected outline color. We're going to make sure we add that to our button settings. We're going to duplicate that and we're going to call it normal or unselected, whatever you want. I'm going to call it normal outline color. We're going to get rid of the 0 and we're going to make sure it's instant editable because we want to be able to change this within inside our widgets. Okay, so now we're going to get to where we change it. So we get our local variables. We should have a bunch of local variables. We want our local outline settings. Drag that in. And we're going to want our local color. And we're going to want our local brush. I'll put it here because we're going to use it twice. And here we're going to say set members. Again, we're going to do this twice. So Control paste, Control C, Control V. Put that here. Back to that. Back to that. And we're also going to need these again. So Control C, Control V. Copy these, move them down here. So, yeah. Okay, so we are going to be changing something on here. And what we're going to do is we're going to highlight it. We're going to look for outline settings. To make sure that is highlighted. Okay. And in our outline settings, we're going to say set members again. Copy and paste that to the bottom. Make sure we connect our outline settings to structure. The struct out will go to here on both of these. And we're going to make sure we also connect these into here and here and here. Here. Okay. And in these ones, we want to make sure we are setting our outline. And our color goes to outline. Our L color goes to outline. So basically, we're setting these members in each of these. Say we had to basically dissect our brush change what we want to change and rebuild it. A little bit of a faff, but it works. Then we're going to get our local brush. We're going to set that at the end here on both. Get to connect your pin. Then we are going to get our selection border. And we're going to say set brush. Join that to both. And the brush is going to be our L brush. Then we're going to get our icon. Okay, so we selected our border. We're also going to bring in our icon image. And we're going to say set brush. And we're going to look for set brush tint color right at the bottom here. And again, that is going to be our L color. And we're also going to bring in our text, our title text. And we're going to say set brush set color and opacity. And again, that's our local color. Okay. So the first one sets the color of the border. This one sets the tint on the image. Now, like I said, if you don't want your image color to change, you're using brightly color icons, leave this part out. Leave this one out. This sets the color of the text. Again, if you don't want your text color to change, you can leave this out. The most important one really is the first one here, because that denotes whether our button is selected or not selected. I've opted to change everything, so we're going to go with everything. Okay, now just for testing purposes, if we select our colors, it's got this awful pink color. So let's say I'm going to have my selected color as a gray and my non-selected color as brownie color, brownie goldy color. Or actually, probably better to do it the other way around. Let's do it the other way around. Selected color to the brownie goldy color, and the non-selected to grey. We compile it. Now, at the moment, we're not our boolean here is set to. Let's change it to non-selected. It should be grey. Look, it's not done anything. Why is it done anything? Because we need to implement the actual function we just made. So we're going to put that on the event pre-construct. That way you can test it and see it during design time. Okay, it will also fire when we activate the widget. Now you see it's got the pink. It shouldn't have the pink. So why have we got pink? Selected outline color, normal outline color. Make sure I've not done anything wrong. Let me just change this to selected, see whether it makes any difference. Okay, selected works. Not selected doesn't work. So what have I done wrong? Normal is here. let me just check. Outline settings. I haven't added it in here, so we need to make sure we add it in here. Now it should work. So there we go, it should work. We've got our grey. If I change this boolean to selected, compile it, we've got our orange color. You see we've changed our icon, our border, and our text. Like I say, if you don't want to change the text or the icon, just leave these out, but the main important one is this border one, so don't leave that one out. This gives you the flexibility, no matter what widget we put it in, we had to change various images, but we do need a few more variables. So we're going to add another variable. We're going to call it button text, and that's going to be of type text. We're going to make sure that's instant editable, and we're going to also put it in our button settings. And the next one we're going to want is index. So we can duplicate this and call it index, type integer. We're going to duplicate it again. We're going to say button icon, and this is going to be a texture 2D, and we're going to duplicate it again, and we're going to say consumable type. That's going to be of our consumable type enum. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So in this section we said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What have I missed? More, so duplicate this one. Category, be one of the most important ones. And this is item group. Okay, there's our 8. Compile that. So now we're done for our button. Just for make it easy, we'll make sure that's not selected. So we're done for our button. We have our default colors. What I'm going to do now though is just set my colors back to white so that we have a fresh start when we use it inside the widget. Set both back to white. We can go ahead and close that now. We're finished. Oh no, we're not finished that. We have a couple of more things to do on that. My apologies. I'm getting ahead of the game here, so to speak. We've made these variables, but we haven't used them. So let's go ahead and use these variables. In our event graph, after we've set our color, we're going to get our icon image here. We're going to get our set brush from texture. And that's going to be from our settings. We've made a button icon. Then we're going to get our text, total text. We're going to set text. and we're going to set that with our button text. I'm going to set a default because it looks a bit odd if you don't, and I'm going to set a default icon image for this, and it's going to be our all ones just for making it look right. If not, they'll end up empty. And one of the most important things I actually forgot is an event dispatcher. So we're going to make an event dispatcher, and we're going to say on toggle button clicked, and this is going to compile it. We're going to have some inputs. It can have 3 inputs. So the first input is going to be index, our button index. Our next input is going to be our category. We need to pass our category through, and that's our item group, num. And we're also going to put our consumable type through. Consumable type. And that's going to be our consumable enum. And that's all we have for that. Okay. Now we're going to go to find our button in here. Here it is, button 92. Go to our on clicked, and we're going to drag in our event dispatcher and call it like this. Consumable type to there, category to category, and index to index. Okay, now we have finished. We've done our on click event, we've set our tint, we've set up our icon, we've set up our text. If you look at the designer, it should be fine. And you can just test to see whether that's working by, say, if we change the button text, I've got it as all, and if I say food, compile, and see it says food. So that's all working lovely. Let's get this back to all. Okay, so now we can definitely go ahead and close our toggle button. Okay, so this has now been 30 minutes. So what we're going to do is go call it here. In the next one, we're going to add these to our main inventory widget, which, if we have the time then, we will actually start the sorting code, which isn't too complex. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, share with your friends. Have a look at my Patreon, buy me a coffee if you appreciate what I do, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye.